Let's demonstrate how the asset template and asset label can work, as well as how we can pass information about an asset from one application to another or from one screen to another. First, I'll expand my screen. And I'm going to use the asset property of the screen to assign this screen to an asset. Once I've assigned it an asset, it views all of the options within my view. It sees that I only have one view currently that's asset model based. And then I can pick a type. In this case, we'll pick a line. I have 6 lines. We'll default to line 1. Alright, now if I simply drag an asset label onto the screen, I can see that it recognizes that I've defaulted to line 1 and that line 1 is now being represented on this screen. My properties for the screen include how I'd like to display an asset picker. Currently it's in model or modal, and that means that when the editor is closed I can switch by using this icon. So if I switch to line 3, you'll see that the asset label has updated. For this case, I'm going to switch this to the second option, which is inline. And inline will display those assets here on the left so that I can click through them and see them update in real time. Additionally, I'll narrow this to 200 pixels. Okay, next I'm going to place my asset template onto the screen, and I will default to boiler. So I've assigned a boiler asset type, which is a sub-asset of a line, to this control. We'll fill up the screen. I have the ability to only click the first card, and that tells me that I have one and then a second card, which is not clickable, 2 boilers on line 3. If I look at line 1, there's a single boiler, line 2 a single boiler, and line 6 has 2 boilers. So whatever I do for one card or the first card, here we'll switch back to line 3, you'll see also happens to the second card. So I'm going to design a layout for a boiler one time, and then that boiler's layout will be replicated each time there's an instance of a boiler. So let's do that with our asset label again. The asset label automatically recognizes and pulls over the asset information for me. If I bring in for instance, let's just do a donut gauge, we'll keep it simple. When I go to select the donut gauge for a tag, it only gives me my tags associated to a boiler. And we'll put a regular label underneath. So now that I'm not in edit mode, I can look at line 1, line 2, line 3 recognizes that there are 2 boilers, 4, 5, and so on. Alright, what if we want to do a little bit more with this? Let's add a second screen. And on this screen, screen 2, I'm going to assign the screen to a boiler asset type. So I'm matching the same asset type from the same view as my boilers on screen 1. I'll default to line 1, boiler 1. And again, I'll use my asset label. Here I'm going to bring in a trend graph. And then I'm going to add trends specifically from the line assets model, line 1, boiler 1, because that was my default. And I'd like to add pressure, steam, and temperature. All right, put that in live mode, and finally let's put a grid in here. Our grid is just going to have some table data in it, and we'll do it with 4 columns. Let's drop in 4 labels, and then some value boxes. Okay, this will be temp. We won't use that label at all. This will be our live value. This will be 5-minute average. And this will be the 5-minute max. We'll format all of these to the right, and then assign some tag values. Temperature. I said these are 5 minutes, so we'll do now minus 5 minutes on all of them. We'll look forward for 5 minutes, and then we'll apply an aggregate. So that one needs adjusted from maximum aggregate to time average aggregate. There we go. Okay, and now I could actually duplicate all of this. And again, and we'll do this one at pressure, and this one as steam out. And then all I have to do are change those tags in mass. And I'll do the same thing here. Okay, so I've built myself a bit of a diagnostic screen. I've included a grid here at the top with a table layout of data that might be important for diagnostics, and I've included my trends. I'm going to go ahead and save my application. And then come back to screen 1, and I will edit my asset label. The asset label properties include a navigate feature. So I can tell it to navigate to a screen, to another application, to a chart, or to an actual hyperlink based on clicking it. I'm going to tell it to navigate to screen 2. Now doing so means that when I click on this link, it brings me to screen 2. But most importantly, let's make sure I've saved this as automatic. There we go. Let's update the whole thing. Most importantly, that means if I come into line 3 and click on boiler 2, I'll see that line 3 in boiler 2 is now represented on this screen with data from line 3 in boiler 2. Let's update the legend to have the tag path. You can see on the chart, it's done the same thing. This allows me to develop just a few screens or applications, but apply it to all of the different types of assets or instances within my organization, and it helps me to do it at scale very quickly. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please, as always, info@canarylabs.com.